Hey, we're still here in Florida. Oh, there, my wife's in the background, and I heard myself reverb. I was hot. I came in hot. Hey, it's so good to see you guys today here on the DPB show. Uh, this is my last broadcast or podcast streaming from the free state of Florida. Hey, I don't know where you're watching at, but please put it in the comments. In fact, I got to grab the comments real quick, get it up there. We had one of the better shows I think we've had since doing this little format outside of the radio on Tuesday with Carol Davis. I mean, Carol had been on my show many times over as a guest when I had the radio program. Carol was always good for giving us the updates as it pertained to all things election integrity. But it has gone to, as I said, it's gone into warp speed, hyper speed. We are hitting levels that have, I believe it. Everything up to this point was basically test marketing. I know it's hard to see that, but that's what these folks are doing. They test market everything. They don't care if they say it one day and then turn around the next day and totally contradict themselves, because they'll contradict themselves the following day. And most of the people are so blissfully ignorant because they know they just can't keep up with it. And I know some of you probably are finding yourself exacerbated by it. It's easy not to be exacerbated by it. My wife's going to put up. I think Kat's on the line. Kat, sorry to hear about your misfortune with YouTube and Facebook. So at this point, Kat, you're going to be exclusive to Rumble and Rumble and Rumble. There you go. I guess you go to Spotify, Twitter, and I guess you're on Twitter too. So X and Rumble are the only two places I believe that ultimately that's where we're going to be, which is kind of this conversation. As I was saying, though, with Carol Davis, if you have not had an opportunity to watch the show on Tuesday, by all means, get out there, listen to it. It is critical that we understand what lies ahead, especially in the early voting. So you want to claim your name, claim your vote, get your ballot. You need to appeal or petition your county election authority or your election authority, because some counties, when I say that, not every county has just one. There are many counties in the state of Illinois and other places that have more than just one election authority. So know your election authority. If you need help with that, by all means, reach out. We can do a deep dive on that. Get your ballot, get your name, take your ballot and walk it, hand deliver it to your county election authority and mark spoiled on it. And then that way, that there are no shenanigans, that your ballot can't be submitted by someone else during the 2024 election. So, hey, definitely get out there, watch it. It was a lot of information, but ultimately the same thing is what we've been saying. At the end of the day, we have got to swamp, flood, whatever adjective you want to use, the polls. It will not happen unless we're doing that. And we know that things are changing. There is a subtleness of what is happening out there, that people are getting very concerned about where our country is going. They're questioning a lot of it. I mean, we're going to show some clips today that show that. I mean, no matter where you're at, in the inner cities, which typically have always been a stronghold of the progressive liberal Marxist movement. That is changing. And why? How can it not? Because it's so easy to sit back and watch these candidates who are running for these higher offices. Their own words are used against them, because what they were saying, like I mentioned earlier, what they are saying yesterday, they changed today. And they believe that you're naive enough, that you're not sharp enough, that you're not going to catch them in their fabrications, in their lies, because that's what they do. Politicians lie. All politicians, just not Democrats. Republican politicians lie too. And part of that is job security. Ultimately, it's all about the money. Follow the money. And that's what our bureaucracy has become, unfortunately. And that's what we're working to turn back is the government-led bureaucracies versus the people-led bureaucracies. People need to lead it. We do need government. We need elected officials. We can't do it without them. That's part of how we're structured as a constitutional republic. But we need to hold them accountable. They work for us. We don't work for them, and that's where we're at. So today, we're going to talk a lot about the hoodwinks that they continue to try to pull over on the wool over our eyes, the proverbial wolves in sheep's clothing. You know, they show up, they tell you all the niceties, and they lead you to believe that there's something they're not. And really, at the end of the day, they are. We know who they are. They know that we know who they are, and they continue to try to pull the fast ones on us. But here, let me jump on board. There he is right there. Oh, I got to remove. There's Ryan. He's in the house.
Hey. Yep.
I got to get my little emoji or the little avatar of my wife out of there, which is actually Kat, but my wife. Ryan, obviously, big show on Tuesday with Carol Davis, and I know that was a lot of information, but this is what we're up against. I mean, we're up against some of the most diabolical people, and as you and I were talking about, thousands and thousands of people are dependent upon this bureaucracy, the business as usual, the status quo.
Yep.
They know, and can you imagine being someone like, for example, Kellyanne Conway, who lives in a very rich neighborhood, ritzy neighborhood in the Northeast, and having a lifestyle that probably requires that you make $500,000 a year. I don't know about you, Ryan, but I'm not making $500,000 a year.
Not even close.
And I don't know a lot of people who are making $500,000 a year, but these are the people who are basically moving the needle in our country. And these are the people that need to be exposed.
Yep. Yeah, they we talked about the insiders of either campaign, really, but since we're closer to the Trump campaign, he's got some inside people the last 8 years that have led him astray, and they're trying to sabotage what he's getting out, and it needs to be squashed. The lying, the backstabbing, he needs to root out all of that. We don't have any more time for that. When QT time is over, we need to get the message out and the truth of the message. And Kellyanne Conway is the biggest snake of them all.
What is Kat saying there? I got my VPN. Oh,
mail. Keep up with the acronyms. Come on.
Oh, that's the vote by mail. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So Kat got that in Logan County. She's a Logan. I'm assuming that's where she got her vote by mail ballot. But yes, that's what we need to do. We need to make sure that we're all getting our ballots. But getting back to the point about Kellyanne Conway, but it's just not Kellyanne Conway.
Yeah, anybody.
You making $500,000 a year.
Yep.
Under the federal bureaucracy. You could be someone just in an agency position making a moderate salary, knowing that if and when Trump is elected, that your job is at risk. Yep. Therefore, you've got to go and figure out how to reinvent yourself, similar to how they're trying to reinvent Kamala Harris.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, as someone who is this moderate Obama 2.0, just funny, cackling, nice lady running our country, she's going to fix the prices once she's day one. She's going to, even though she helped bring the prices to where they were, she's going to lower them day one. Just trust her. Just day one, she's going to bring everything back. It's okay. Not right now when she has the power to do so, but when she's president.
Well, I don't have the video of Trump at Asheville, North Carolina yesterday, but he had his whole standard size of Tic Tacs, and then he had a little mini Tic Tac, and he talked about inflation, and that's basically what it is. But also, uncovering, exposing these people for who they are. I think
Yeah.
that's what that Bongino had a great little video here that, the minority voters, this is the big play. This is why they're losing it. And he's going to explain this, because when you go into these inner cities, people, this thing that we are exposed to, we're all exposed to, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Instagram, whatever the means of people gathering content and information, it has gotten so far away from them. Now, granted, we know they're limiting access to different channels, to different platforms, Google searches. They're making up excuses why it is that you couldn't find the assassination of President Trump, why it is that you can't look up information about the January 6th bombers, because obviously they don't exist. And we're going to talk a little bit at further length about that, because did the bomber actually ever exist? Did the bombs actually exist?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when they came to my house, the FBI back in January of 2021, they were inquisitive about whether I knew what was going on with this bomber, because that was their shtick. That's what they were moving towards. There was a reason for that. An assassination attempt on Kamala Harris. Now, we hear very little about that, but Bongino talks, shares this Newsmax reporter on the streets, and it's very interesting. I'm going to go ahead and just pull it up here real quick. It's fascinating to hear what is being said. I want to make sure that I've got my right screen here. There he is. Here it goes.
It's a Newsmax segment. They went out and did a man on the street, and they went specifically into minority communities. It's segments like this I'm going to play another one tomorrow, by the way, that scare the hell out of the Democrats because they don't know how to counter it. Even the media now, no one's listening. They can't make uncool Kamala cool again. Check this out.
I love that.
You racist today, you lost. Nobody going against Trump.
It's not about race. It's about what they provide for the society, is what they could do for the community.
With her putting a lot of Black Americans in jail for the marijuana, they're not really going for her.
We also got people's thoughts on Trump's recent comments on Harris's ethnicity.
She was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was Black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn Black, and now she wants to be known as Black.
Yeah, she was Hindu when it suited her purpose, and now that she's running, the Black vote suits her purpose. So, like Trump said, now she's Black.
Now she's Black.
Folks, I'm telling you right now, something big is happening. I don't want to hear landslide talk. I'm going to say this. So, are you done hearing about it? Tell me yes, because that means I got to say it 10 more times. I don't want to hear it ever. Execute. That is it. Do not get distracted. They are scared, not us. I'm not scared. I'm actually very optimistic. Not overly optimistic, but optimistic. We have learned. The Democrats, let me tie the show in together, why I put this together the way I did now. Nothing I do here is by accident. Did you notice how I opened up the show? The Democrats, the liberal media are afraid, folks. Their brand forever has been very simple. You want the stodgy, old, connected machine guys running your life into the ground, the party of the rich, vote Republican. We're the Democrats. We're the cool kids. They've lost the narrative. Do you understand that? They have totally lost the narrative. They are now the cut your kids' balls off, nanny state. Government's going to tell you what to do. Big daddy government's going to, sit here and control everything from the economy to education to your health care. There is nothing cool about that. They are jealous of us now. We're now the beer guzzling hippie culture going, you know what, man? I just want you to get that out of my life, man. Is that cool? Just leave me alone. Give us our military, a court system, and everything you do sucks. Can you just leave us alone? You're the machine now. You put our guy in jail. You're locking.
I just could listen. That segment, it's a lot longer. I could listen to him. But some of the takeaways from that is, he said it best. Obviously, it was pretty much up to this point of the DPB show. It's everything we're talking about. The bureaucracy, who controls the government, the people. I mean, these are the common folk. The common people on the street are seeing through this. and at an alarming rate, because they have something in the palm of their hand, in this device that allows them to get access to places that it truly does. It scares them. It scares the people in charge. Now, granted, I love what he mentioned about execute. That's what we talked about on Tuesday.
Yep.
We've got to execute. We've got to make sure that we get people out. I do hear, unfortunately, back in Illinois, granted, I'm not there. If you're not in Illinois, chime in the comment section. I'm in Florida, the free state of Florida. Unfortunately, we're only here until Saturday morning, and I will make my voyage back to Shawshank Redemption in Illinois, the land of make-believe under J.B. Pritzker. But you know, it's imperative that we execute. Illinois can and will be great again. We will be the land of Lincoln. But it's going to take all of us exposing them for who they are. You've heard me go on and on about this. And for those of you that aren't aware of this, the Republicans have not breached 2 million votes. Are there 2 million votes for Republicans to get in the state of Illinois? By all means, yes.
Yep.
If you were with us the last show, the statistics, I have those right in front of me real quick. I'll just read them off to you. I think that my beautiful wife is going to put them back up in the comment section, but 100 possible voters, 40 out of the 100 currently vote. 40 out of the current 100. 23 vote Democrat, 17 vote Republican. So your vote does matter. That's what execute is about. That's the essence of this thing. How are we going to win? We are going to flood the polls. We are going to turn out the vote. These folks on the street, you know, these are probably people who have never voted, never thought about voting, but now they realize how critical it is to the well-being of everything. It's scary. You're right. They are scared because they want control.
Yeah, it's always been about power for them.
And we have no reason to be scared. I mean, Bongino said it. I'm not scared. Because ultimately, we're going to continue to pound this drum. They're not going to get any traction on those of us who are truly standing up for the American way. You know, when it comes to the American way, one of the people who has been leading the cause, and I make no amends, obviously, you know that I'm a Trump delegate, was up at the RNC, have driven in the motorcade for President Trump, took a bus tour out to the Insurrection Day, Resurrection Day or Insurrection Day. I won't call it what Chuck Schumer calls it. But I believe what President Trump has put forward, they are also scared of. In fact, I have that, and I want to share it with you guys because it's a little longer. But this is not coming. Kamala Harris doesn't have anything like this.
No, she has zero plans. Yeah.
She has absolutely, Ryan, you're right. Zero. There is nothing there. And this is Trump basically yesterday, the day before yesterday, Nashville, North Carolina, I think it was yesterday. But this is Trump laying out and mapping out his entire platform going forward for the American way. And this too probably has them scared, beyond scared. Here it goes.
Deliver low taxes, low regulations, low energy costs.
Let me.
Together we will deliver low taxes, low regulations, low energy costs, low interest rates, low inflation, so that everyone can afford groceries, a car, and a home. Common sense. We will stop the invasion, end the migrant crime, support our great police, save Medicare, and save Social Security, which is under siege. We will strengthen our military, build a missile defense shield, keep critical race theory and transgender insanity the hell out of our schools, and keep men out of women's sports. We will defend the Second Amendment, restore free speech, and we will secure our elections.
Wow.
Everyone will prosper, every family will thrive, and every day will be filled with opportunity, hope, and joy.
Open joy. He's throwing it back.
But for that to happen, we must never let Kamala Harris get anywhere near the White House, and we must defeat her country-destroying liberal agenda. She destroyed San Francisco. She's not going to destroy our country. So get your friends, get your family, register, volunteer, and get the hell out and vote. You got to vote. On November 5th, we will save our economy. We will rescue our middle class. We will put America first, and we will make America great again. Thank you very much. North Carolina, God bless you. God bless you all. Thank you.
Classic.
Yeah.
Classic.
It's pretty amazing that we have to come out and have this platform, because it should be common sense with most of the electorate, but it really is down to that message. We're going to stop the socialists, the communists from destroying our country. It really should be more common sense than that. That's all he wants.
In that list, and Tanya's put some of those items out there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's like 21 points, and he's just hammering this. So when it comes to the agreed upon days or dates for debate against Kamala, how is she going to defend that? Because he also is going to point out that you're currently, as we speak, here on stage, you could impact change.
Yeah.
You could do something about it. And you can't say that that there's obstructionists. I mean, if you were willing to do any of these things, Speaker Johnson would get behind you. You already have made the deciding vote more than
she was the tie-breaking vote for the Inflation Production Act.
Yeah.
She made sure the taxes went in place for a lot of these programs that have destroyed everything.
Yeah.
It's your doing.
Well, and that's like I said, it's going to be interesting. Here we are 4 days away from the DNC, the Democratic National Convention up in Chicago. Yes. I believe me, I'm going to be tuned in, because there's going to be more fodder, as you said, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
They are self-destructing. This is becoming a point where we don't have to really do too much. Trump even said it the other day when he was questioned about it. He said, I'm just letting them execute themselves, because at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's like watching somebody self-destruct, and that's who they are. That's what they're doing. I truly believed. I don't believe that. How did they ever think they were going to get Kamala Harris off the launching pad? Now, I'm not talking about the 35% of loyalist zombies The Walking Dead, who support the craziness of Kamala Harris, the Biden-Harris administration. Those people are going to continue to be in lockstep. In fact, most of them have never heard the message that we're talking about.
Yeah.
They're either spiritually broken or they're emotionally broken, and they truly just don't see the world as we do. And the sad part is, they're never going to see the world as we do. They're going to be the same people who are dependent in so many different ways on society. Unfortunately, we're running out of money and we're running out of time.
There are people that vote Democrat just because they've done it for 40 years. They don't care who the name is. They don't care who the policy is. They've done it for 40 or 50 years, and they're not going to be persuadable. But they knew Joe wasn't going to make it 8 years. They knew that they had a hard time pushing him to win the first election. He was the stand-in for their actual policy-driven movement, this communist, socialist, Marxist movement. Control the kids, control a future generation, control the country, split up the families, push an LGBTQ agenda, break up the churches, arrest people who speak freely and pray freely. This is the Democrat Party of 2024. They are going to hide every negative message of their candidate, and they're going to push everything positive about them. There's nothing positive that is coming from socialism. Tim Walz is a far left socialist. Kamala Harris is a hard left communist. This is who they are. And you can't let their message of, oh, it's going to be butterflies and rainbows from here on out. We're the cool kids on the block. They're no longer the cool kids. They are wrecking families. There's been multiple panels on all the shows, on the right-leaning shows. Minority families, low-income families, they are being destroyed by these policies. And it needs to stop. And you have to keep exposing it. We're not going to see a country if we don't win this election. And that's, you can say about every election, but this is the tipping point election that we could see ourselves as a globalist type socialist country, maybe even 100 size the size of Cuba, Venezuela. You think that worked down there? It worked really well. They killed and starved millions.
I've been working behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Trying to pull up this Mays Moore video, which I think says so much. And I'm going to make sure that it's muted out of the gate and keyed up where it's supposed to be. But this is the essence of Kamala debating Kamala Harris. So 2020 candidate versus 2021 vice president. Let's see if I can get her loaded onto stage here. Here she is.
Mm-hmm.
A mother who pays a coyote to transport her child through their country of origin, through the entire country of Mexico, facing unknown peril to come here. Why would that mother do that? I will tell you. Because she has decided for that child to remain where they are is worse. But what does Donald Trump do? He says, go back to where you came from. That is not reflective of our America and our values, and it's got to end.
To be clear to folks in this region who are thinking about making that dangerous trek to the United States-Mexico border, do not come. Do not come.
Oh.
And I believe if you come to our border, you will be turned back.
A mother who pays a coyote to transport her child through their country of origin, through the entire country of Mexico, facing unknown peril to come here. Why would that mother do that? I will tell you. Because she has decided for that child to remain where they are is worse. But what does Donald Trump do? He says, go back to where you came from. That is not reflective of our America and our values, and it's got to end.
To be clear to folks in this region who are thinking about making that dangerous trek to the United States-Mexico border.
Don't.
Do not come.
Do not
come.
Do not come.
And I believe if you come to our border, you will be turned back.
Did they though?
I believe that you don't believe anything you're saying, Kamala, because that is a lie, and it goes to show you. I mean, that is the basis of what we're up against. 2020. I mean, she has no problem a year later saying something different, and now she's saying, and of course,
flip-flopped on every major policy.
Throwing at Donald Trump. Donald Trump is saying what we all should say to anyone. Even within our own country, I find it interesting. I just learned this here in the last, little over a year. A homeless man showed up at our church. And granted, we're welcoming. We want to, to put the love of Christ out there for everyone. Mm-hmm. But the challenging question that the pastor asked of this homeless man was really interesting. He said, "Where's your home?" The guy's like, "Well, I'm homeless." No, where's your home? Where did you come from? You need to go back home. Because that's where your entire foundation is.
Yep.
You decided to take your show on the road. Now, granted, I understand. Third world countries are tough to live in.
Mm-hmm.
However, unfortunately, you're making a pilgrimage voyage to a place that you have no roots, you have no family.
Yeah.
And what you're hearing is that somebody's going to take care of you. And bottom line is they have been taken care of. It's documented. We know this to be the fact that folks who have come here illegally have circumvented the legal immigration process. Not to say it's a perfect process, but it is the law of the land.
Mm-hmm.
They have been given exorbitant amount of resources, health care, debit cards, housing, things that Americans who are here as citizens aren't afforded.
Yeah.
And this is what Kamala is promoting.
Yeah. Open
Whether
border.
you want to acknowledge it or not, this is demographic destiny. This is the replacement theory.
Yeah.
We showed the video. There's a reason why they're doing it, because they're losing their base.
Mm-hmm.
The people who they really leaned upon, and they needed them to be all in. They needed them all to be captivated, to be mind controlled. See, they've lost it. And that's what everything has happened based on technology.
Yep.
Artificial intelligence will only expose these people more and more, because common sense, as Donald Trump said, and you said it too, Ryan, this should be common sense.
Yeah.
These are things we shouldn't have even had to bring up. This is the way America has always run.
For more than 250 years, we have been a nation of ideas based on liberty, freedoms, and individualism, and a free market economy base where you can make your wealth, I can make my wealth, and we can grow it that way. It doesn't have to be a collective pot where you take from me because the government said you can and give to somebody else. That's never been an American way of life. So this idea that it's not American to not accept these people. Well, we are one of the most, if not the most generous giving nation in the world, on the planet. Where else can you go and get the resources you get? Our missionaries from our churches are blessed. We give and give and give and give to other governments and other countries. And what do we get out of it? Debt. Their worst criminal. The people that are homeless from their countries now are our homeless problem. We are generous by all means, but we have to have limits, because our own American lives matter more than the ones in other countries. It seems harsh to say, but American citizens should always take the priority of our government, and that has not been the case.
Here she is.
Here's Kamala Harris. Let the exposing begin.
Yep.
Telling a supporter at a Q&A session that she's prepared, as she enters office when she's running for president, to close down immigration detention centers. So let me ask you a simple question, folks. If illegal immigrants enter the country illegally and break the law, but there's nowhere to detain them because there's no detention centers, anyone in the chat know where they go? Where they're going right now, your hometown. That's right. Don't listen to me. Listen to her in her own words. Check this out.
Hi, my name is Sally Hartman. I'm a volunteer with the Center for Worker Justice. I want to know, when you become president, would you be committing to close the immigration detention centers?
Absolutely, on day one.
Day one.
And thank you for.
There's no delay, folks. There's no delay. I don't mean 7-second delay in the show. I mean, there's no delay in her answer. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, she doesn't even hesitate.
No, not even a chance.
And the interesting thing is why hasn't she closed the detention centers, which technically they have?
Yeah.
People aren't being detained.
No, they've turned them into day camp centers and feed the kids and blanket the needy.
Catch and release. Yeah. They all get a date.
Yeah. They've become diaper changers. They're not doing their job and arresting these people and putting them back across the border. It's like a giant adult daycare camp.
Well,
it's not even what they're supposed to be for.
And what we see right now happening in our country is what they want on a level that makes what's happening now,
Yeah.
it will be a mere image of itself. You
Well,
know?
when we all have these nice homes and they're more than enough for you and I, but now they want us to invite them into our homes. They don't want them in their own mansion and gated areas. They want them in our own home. They want everyday Americans to host a family coming across the border. I don't know about you, but most people in my neck of the woods can't afford to almost feed themselves and take care of their own household, let alone bring in some stranger out of another country.
Yeah, and I know we talked about this, and I think it's something that's going to continue to play itself out, and something they continue to try to pull over the wool over our eyes, and the hoodwinks is contradictory statements. There is a movement of building housing throughout the United States of America, built with government dollars, which means your taxpayer dollars, not government dollars, taxpayer dollars. There is a movement of providing housing because ultimately their grab is for the replacement theory. They want demographic destiny. They can't give enough benefits away, and that's how they buy it. They thought that it was going to be impacted by the student loan forgiveness, which was obviously ruled by the Supreme Court as unconstitutional. But Joe Biden and Kamala Harris went ahead and did it anyway. And they're going to do whatever they possibly can between now and Election Day. All bars are off. It is a jailbreak. They are literally running with everything and anything. Who knows what else is going to come down the pipe? This is all driven by money, as we started saying about Kellyanne Conway, no different. The follow the money on an international level. There are so many people who are fearful of what lies ahead with a Trump presidency, because you just heard the man say what he intends to do. And you know why it scares him? Because he already did it for 4 years without the support of his own party.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that his own party, in some instances, most of the party is behind Trump.
Yeah.
Trump said it the other day, about 75% of the country believes in making America great again.
Yeah.
And those are the people that if they turn out, this is what scares them. If they turn out, then all of their hopes, all of their dreams, which have nothing to do with you being able to afford the same hope and dream, because this is about their hopes and dreams, which deals with total elitism. They are elitist. It's what's good for me is not good for you. And this is where they're going. And they're continuing to press into this. You had mentioned before we jumped on about the October surprise, which I think is going to be the August surprise, the September surprise, the October surprise, because they're running out of time.
Yeah.
Bongino just said it. They're running scared. They thought that they could do something, they could make an impact, which I never understood how in the world they're going to make an impact.
They couldn't legally stop him from running from office. They couldn't sue him out of oblivion. They couldn't get him enough money out of him to get him out of office. They couldn't kill him when they had the opportunity to do so. And yes, I'll probably get flack for that on YouTube too, because that's not an assassination attempt. It was just something that somebody heard a noise at the rally. They couldn't even kill him.
Yeah.
And now they're going to pull out. What's the next stop? Where else do they go? They couldn't sue him. They couldn't stop him in the Constitution to get away with the 14th Amendment. Where else do they go?
Yeah.
Now Jamie Raskin, a civil war. If he's legally and duly elected, he's going to use it again. If Democrats, God forbid, take the House, it goes to the House if they're tied.
Well,
what they're going to do?
The way things are setting up now, and this was shared by Jack Pozovic, and I don't have it to share. I guess I could go out and search for it, but he gave a graphical map of the way things are kind of looking right now. And one of the states that he said that he might have to take back is Virginia. Virginia is in play. So many of these states are becoming in play,
Yeah.
which only makes the hysteria and their desperation, go to a whole new level. And that's what they know. They know that here we are. I mean, we're literally about 30 days from, well, a little over 30 days from early voting starting in Illinois and many of these other states. Florida, where I'm at right now, they just went through their early voting. It's mandatory early voting. They have it for a week, but they just went through their primary. And 10 days later, after their primary, they go into the early voting season. So they don't spend a lot of time dawdling around. Illinois, we did our primary back in March, which I will never understand why it is that we do that in March.
There's still primaries going on now outside of the presidential. Congressman Omar barely won her reelection bid.
Well, and I think that's something that eyes have been turned to once because of the way that the votes were counted. I mean, they didn't report. Then they said that there were 5% reported, and within 15 minutes, there was 95% reported.
Yeah, and other districts around her were counted, and some weren't yet. And how did she get called? It's a mess. But 2 out of the 3 squad primaries were lost.
Yeah.
So if you think about the wins, if you're doom and gloom, there's some winning messages here as we get closer to November.
There's
if
a
you
lot
don't like the far left anti-Israel base of the Democrat Party, they've lost their grip.
Well, ultimately, and what is on the ballot in November and before with early voting is simple. It is socialism versus Americanism.
Yeah.
Or America. Free
Eggs
market
just jumped to $4 a dozen the other night, overnight. $4.12, I think. If you think that's expensive now, try paying $75 to $100 for a loaf of bread under socialism.
Yeah. And that's what we're up against.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you've got anything else out there right now that's kind of ticking. I know we had talked about this. It's been kind of a slow business news week, I should say, business cycle news week. The stock market seems to have recovered. It's teetering, once again, it's totally man manipulated with the markets. And a lot of that is emotional and reacts to the craziness of the world. But I think we're in a lull right now because ultimately this convention happens this weekend, the kickoff is Sunday, going into next week. I think we're going to see a lot. And I can only imagine what it's like where the Republican Party truly raised the bar so high, that what else could they do come this weekend? I mean, I don't know how they try to one up the Republican Party, especially now that when the convention happened back in Milwaukee in July, we were up against Biden-Harris. Now we're up against Harris-Walz.
Yeah.
And Joe Biden is still the president of the United States.
Yeah, we might have some boots on the ground. I have not reached back out yet, but we have a reporter from Chicago, potentially can be our feet on the ground in DNC next week. So we'll get a hold of him and see if he can give us some insight.
What have we got here, Ryan?
So this is the latest numbers. Jack Lombardi put them up. So if anybody's being misled about the economy right now, he's got some interesting numbers just out of yesterday. Gas, 50%, electricity, 30%, fuel, 49%, airfare, 22%, your hotels. How expensive is it to go on vacation right now? Your groceries are still up 20%. Eating out, forget it. Baby food, you're feeding your kids that are school aged. Rent is up 22%. Transportation, car insurance just goes on and on and on. Prices are still up, and they're not coming back down.
Interesting. Jack was a congressional candidate, I think, in the 6th congressional district, or maybe before the mapping. Yeah. Jack now lives in Florida.
Yeah.
So Jack Lombardi, Yeah,
Yep.
so he moved down here to Florida. He came to a free state. He wasn't going to sit around and deal with
Yep.
Pritzker, you know. And if you're listening back in Illinois, bottom line is we are in for a fight. And it's sad to see people who were good citizens, good fighters for the cause. But I understand why it is that people just say enough's enough. I can't do it. I don't see where we're making enough inroads. And one of the biggest things that we battle against is our own self, our own selfishness. There's Kellyanne Conways exist in the Republican Party in Illinois. This is something that's pointed out by Tom DeVore, Darren Bailey. Yeah, we've got a lot of work to do. But at the same time, it is the land of Lincoln. And it can be the land of Lincoln again. Illinois is our home. And it's my home. As much as I love being here in Florida, it's not home.
Mm-hmm.
I love to visit Florida. And I'm not saying that I won't split time at some point, Lord willing, who knows? But Illinois is our home. And when you have a home, that's what you fight for. And just to give up on Illinois, I'm not willing to do that. You know, I started mentioning that I've heard from other people, well, Illinois is a lost cause. Trump's not going to win Illinois.
Yeah.
You know what? I believe a victory for Trump in Illinois is if he can bring it down to single digits, margin of victory, or margin of loss for Trump.
Yep.
I still think I guess I'm an optimist. You know what?
Yeah.
I'd like to see Illinois be great again. And I think that there's an opportunity with this election cycle to take it. If ever there was a time, can you imagine the message that would be sent to the rest of the world, not just the United States, the rest of the world, if Illinois were to be in play for this presidential election?
Yep, Illinois.
And I
New
know a
York.
lot of people are saying, gosh, David, what are you smoking? You know what? I believe if ever it was going to happen, it's now. If you haven't seen the destructive policies of J.B. Pritzker and Tim Walz and Gavin Newsom and Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Chuck Schumer, Adam Schiff, Nancy Pelosi, if you haven't seen the destruction of America at their hands, it's no different. What always amazed me about Mike Madigan, he ruled with an iron fist. Iron Mike, right?
Mm-hmm.
37 years, he controlled the state of Illinois.
Yeah.
And obviously, where did that get us? And I think people are finally starting to wake up and saying, you know, as much smoke, and believe me, Kamala Harris isn't the only one. I mean, it's the entire Democrat Party. They come to steal, kill, and destroy. They are liars. And JB will sit out there and he will lie,
Yep.
and blow smoke, you know, about this program and that program and how well the economy's doing in Illinois and how well he has done as the governor.
There's no crime. There's no problems here.
It's acquiescence of what we're experiencing with Kamala. These folks don't. If once again, as the old Moneyball says, if liberal policies were working, why aren't they working?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, let's not be fooled. I know that we each can do something about it. I mean, what matters is first and foremost our vote. You see it down there in the description. Claim your name, order a vote by mail ballot, secure your vote, write spoiled across the front, back, and envelope. Bring the ballot on the first day of early voting, September 22nd in Illinois, and you need to check with your local election authority in your state to see when early voting starts. Surrender it to the election workers and vote in person. Then get 12 other people to do the same.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it's going to work. Let's not rely upon anyone else to go out and do that work. We all need to be vigilant about making sure that we get as many people to the polls. Trump said it best. I'm not going to play the video again. Get the hell out and vote.
Yeah. Vote
And that's
early.
what it is.
Yeah.
Vote.
Yep.
We have to vote. We know statistically it can be done. Most people want it. That's what they want. But in order to get it, you've got to execute. Bongino said it best. We need to be about execution at this point. Hey, that's what we're going to talk about going forward.
Yep.
I don't know what else to talk about on the DPB show other than, I mean, we can sit here and banter back and forth about he said, she said, this is happening, they're doing this. The play on the international monetary level is for people to steal more money, as if that's something breaking news that people are corrupt and they've been stealing money for a long time. No, we're going to talk about how we go about changing, transforming. The word that Carol used the other day was another good word. It's more than just making America great.
Mm-hmm.
It's truly restoration. It's truly restoring what God has given us here on this beautiful planet we call Earth, in this beautiful country we call America. Hey, I'm going to cut it a little short. Obviously, I've got a lot of driving to do this weekend because my wife and I actually drove down here to Florida. Love to be able to drive the highways and byways through different states like Tennessee and Georgia to see how the country looks. We'll be making our way back. So on Tuesday, unless something breaking comes across, I ask you to tune in to the DNC convention. There's going to be plenty of fodder for our show, right, Ryan? We're going to come away with a lot of bantering back and forth. But at the end of the day, what means anything is our ability to go out and change it through our own vote. Hey, as I say, I love you. I know that Jesus loves you more than we can ever put words to. Until Tuesday, I bid you guys all farewell.